In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my new 713 level threat center build that I made on NBA 2K24. Now, I've talked about it in the past that a lot of people in this game, we all make center builds in a certain type of way. Okay, we don't really make aggressive center builds. Obviously, that means you're going to have to make some sacrifice. But I want to show you guys very quickly what the build is currently looking like at the moment. Don't worry, I will take you guys to the builder to discuss the build in a lot more detail in terms of what I would personally change. I haven't played on the build for a few games now, so I definitely know some of the things I will change on the build. But in terms of the animations, before we head into this gameplays very quickly, this is what I'm currently using. The basic dribble pull-up is one of the best dribble pull-up in my opinion for sort of 7-foot plus builds in this game. And these are some of my dribble animation, my dribble style, and I'm using. In terms of my jump shot, I am currently using Jonathan Isaac base is my recommended base for all you bigs out there. In terms of the release, y'all can obviously decide on what you guys want, but I'm currently using Wagner and Bobby Portis, so obviously it's an easier queue for me to have a look at. But anyways, let's head into this gameplay of this build, and I'm going to again take you guys to the builder afterwards to discuss the build in a lot more detail in terms of the pros of the build and obviously the cons of making a scoring center build. One of the favorite things for me about this build is the mid-range on this build is absolutely crazy. That 90 mid-range, I am telling you, I have 86 on my other build, and trust me that you can feel the difference between a 90 and an 86. Okay, 86 is very, very good. You guys can see this build can also have standing dunk. 86 is very, very good, but 90 is different, bro. I've been taking some shots that I thought were going to be contested, but the game registers them as wide open, and that's because you have, gold blinders, gold dead eye with a 90 midi. And you guys can see I love spamming that normal dribble style into the midi. A lot of centers, I've said this in the past, right, especially for a build that can shoot, centers don't like to guard any sort of shooting on the build. Okay, look at this. Okay, look at these shots, right? Normally that would have said maybe like a 15% contest on my 86 build, because I've got gold on everything. You guys can see the double team as well. But this build is going to attract a lot of double team, and again, having a scoring center is very, very different for a lot of bigs on 2K because they're not used to having to guard a build that kind of moves like a guard. You guys will see I'm going to go into using the screen right there like a PG. So again, centers aren't used to someone attacking them from a dribble standpoint. They're probably used to trying to block shots in the paint. And you guys can see, even without maxing out my block attributes yet, we're still able to get blocks on this build. One of my favorite things about the build is because I've got gold unblockable, I'm very, very confident when I have the ball. I can run it up. You guys can see people are jumping, and if you jump, all I need is just an ample space for that midi, and it's going crazy. Now, normally I do prefer taking my hop shots, but with this build, I actually go, and my preference is actually to just do a dribble pull-up, because the dribble pull-up is way harder to guard. Okay, it's way quicker to set up, way easier as well. You guys can see even with the rebound on this build, even though you do have short arms, don't let it distract you. Okay, this build can still snag, you can still get blocks. Again, I will discuss what sort of pros and cons of this build in more detail, but you guys can see when I do have the ball, you'll see with the confidence I'm talking about. That guy tries to kind of grab onto me, but I just run in there. I'm always running to the midi. Okay, as soon as I get just a little bit of space in that mid range, then obviously I'm going to be going up for it. Again, you can mix up your play style in this build. You're not just a shooter. You know what I mean? You can shoot, obviously take middies, so it kind of confuses your matchup a little bit more. If you're just predominantly a shooter, it's kind of a little bit easier to guard, but if you're going in and out, it makes it very, very tough. And look at this. Look at the 3 guys, because they know. Okay, by the way, the gameplays you guys are watching, all these clips are just from 2 rec games, and that is it. But you guys can see every animation I'm doing, people are just jumping because of they know I can shoot very, very well at this build, which obviously creates a lot more opportunities for you as a player watching this game. You guys can see, look at the way I'm just dribbling. Now I'm going to set it up into the post hop. Okay, like I love being able to be a scorer in 2K because it gives you so much freedom. And you guys can see we have 27 points, 20 rebounds. So this build, again, you can get a lot of rebounds on this build, but again, I'll still talk about the pros and cons a bit more detail. Obviously, the post hop is definitely going to be a go-to shot for me. I do use it, but I definitely don't use it as much as my other builds. You guys will see what I'm talking about right here. See the midi? A lot of centers don't like to guard stuff like that, right? They don't want to put the hands up, and they're kind of expecting you to kind of do some drive animation. It's very, very unusual for someone to kind of go for the midi and keep pulling up, which is very, very annoying. Now, again, that 90 midi is definitely worth it as I fake these guys out right here. 85-3 is nice to have. Is it necessarily needed? Again, I will talk about that a bit more when we head into the builder. But once again, look, when it comes to the midi, this is just a scoring beast. Okay, you're just going to be just pulling up. Again, centers aren't used to having to guard a 7-1 that constantly, just look at that, just constantly being aggressive, constantly attacking them. They don't like that stuff, right? But again, you guys already know me. So ever since I started playing on my 7-foot build, I just love the 7-foot plus heights on this game. It's so nice to play on them. That normal dribble style, that pull up, that midi, you guys can jump all they want. You can see all the coverage is ridiculous. Some of the coverage shots, I'm like, why does that say open? But I'm not really complaining. And we're gonna, hit them with a 3 right there. And obviously having that 85 3 is gonna give you the benefit of being able to shoot from a range like this. But anyways, that's pretty much a brief overview. Let's head into the builder and talk a bit more about the build. So here we are in the builder, okay? Obviously the position you're going to go center, 7'1", 225 pounds, and 7'1" on the wingspan. Honestly, if I could make this build at power forward, if you could make a 7'1" power forward, I would have loved to make this build at power forward. It would have been a great power forward build. But again, I will talk about some of the pros and the cons of this build I have noticed so far. But this is how I made this build personally for my play style. I did say I had gold unblockable in sort of the gameplay, but I don't. I do have silver, okay? Fear, stop lying, stop capping. Anyways, one of the biggest things I'll probably change about this build is I'll definitely increase the weight, okay? The only reason I didn't want to go too heavy on the weight was I was very conscious of the speed, right? But in hindsight, one of the things I personally don't like about this build, even though I showed you guys the 27-20 rebound, there are certain games where I'm in a great position and some of these centers, all of a sudden playing against them, they think they're Shaq now, right? They think they can get all the boards, start showing off, start, flexing their arms. All these boards that they would never be able to get previously on my other builds, they're able to get it now. And that's because with this build, you guys can see you only get silver rebound chase or gold box out B. So obviously some of these centers are running 92, 93 offensive rebound, so they'll be able to worm you sometimes. Not all the time, but it's enough to be annoying for me as a player, because I definitely don't want to be giving that up. So, if you guys are watching this video, what I definitely recommend is increasing your weight to be able to get, at least a 92 defensive rebound. Now, I normally talk about in my other videos about having high offensive and high defensive rebound, but if you're going to make this build exactly the way I made it, personally for me, this is one of those times where I would actually allow, I would actually be happy for you to put like a 60 or a 65 or even a 70 offensive rebound. And the reason for that is because most of the time, I don't know if you guys noticed in the gameplay, because I have such a high 3 ball, I never cut into the paint, okay? I don't even like cutting to the paint because I'd rather just take the ball off the dribble and go into the midi anyway. So I was always spotting up on the outside because of my 3-point rating. So if you put like a 70 offensive rebound, I don't think it's the worst in the universe. You're not really going to be getting offensive rebounds all the time anyway. And if you do go for it, you may be able to get some of it if you have a 92 defensive rebound. So going low on your offensive rebound, absolutely perfect on this build. The other thing I personally don't like about this build, again, I would obviously make a video about this, having no steal is super annoying, bro. I don't know how some of you bigs be making some of these builds with no steal. Now, I'll tell you guys a bit more when I make the video, but just to give you guys a quick summary, when you don't have steal, right, what you're basically doing is you're allowing entry passes into the lane. Even I'm very good at positioning myself, but a lot of the time you're still allowing these entry passes for some of these bigs to go into the paint. And I'm telling you, this year the standing dunks are so OP. Some of these bigs, you're going to be giving them good positions for stuff you can easily steal. So I personally don't like having no steal in this build. And I like having both perimeter and steal, so that's another thing to talk about. Now, in terms of the positives, obviously you saw in the build, the 92 standing dunk is crazy. I don't utilize them a lot because, like I said, I don't really cut to the paint that much. So realistically, if you do want to put 85-3 on this build, I don't even think you need that high of a standing dunk. I think 81 would be fine, honestly, because you're not really going to be cutting to the paint like that. Having an 80 driving dunk is definitely nice to have. The other thing I'll probably change for me on my particular playstyle is probably reduce to obviously lower the 3-pointer to like an 80. I find myself standing kind of close to the 3-point line anyway, so I don't think I need an 85. Obviously 85 is nice because you get that limitless range. So again, if you want to make exactly the way I made it, I've talked about some of the stuff you should change. If you want to have an 85 defensive rebound, I'm not saying it's the best, it's the worst in the universe. I would definitely recommend you to increase your weight to a 90 at least. So that way, you're a lot stronger in sort of box out positions. But obviously, increasing your weight is also going to reduce your speed. So that was one of the things I was very, very, very conscious about with this build. Again, if you're able to make a 7-1 power forward, I would definitely would have made this build at 7 power forward because it is absolutely disgusting. That 90 mid range. I mean, look at all the stuff you get: gold blinders, gold dead eye, gold green machine, Hall of Fame open looks, which is so OP. People don't talk about that enough. So any shot that is open or whatever, wide open, you just get a massive boost. That's why I'm able to make all those crazy shots you're able to make. 75 passing is not the worst in the universe. Honestly, I will still leave at 75 if I want to. I know some of you centers want, you know, gold break style or whatever. I think because most of the time you guys saw in the gameplay, I can run up the court myself anyway. So even if I feel like a pass is too long for me to make, which it shouldn't be, but if I feel like I can't make a certain type of passes, I'm just gonna run up the court myself and just, you know, pass it when I'm a lot closer. 65 ball handling is definitely nice to have, but I do think you can generally just get away with a 40, okay? Because 40 is all you need for that normal dribble style, which you can just keep spamming left and right, left and right. But the reason why I went 65 is obviously you're able to get that gold big driver, which obviously I know people say it's not a good badge, but trust me, it's nice enough for it to be effective when you're playing the game. But this is pretty much the build that I made. Again, there are obviously pros and cons to it. I wish more people make scoring centers though, because again, if you're gonna make a scoring center, these are some of the sacrifices you're gonna have to make. You're not gonna have the 99 rebound or the 92 block or whatever, because again, you're making this build to predominantly be a scorer, kind of like Joel Embiid or, you know, Holmgren type of builds, Jokic, who are just super aggressive. And the NBA is, you know, pretty much, you know, the league of the bigs nowadays. A lot of bigs are dominating. But unfortunately, when I play rec, I don't see that translation at all. So hopefully, you know, this build can inspire you guys as a build template. You don't have to make exactly like mine. You can certainly, you know, do if you want to, but I told you some of the pros and cons of it. A lot of these centers are going to turn into prime Shaq against you, bro, and I don't like that, bro, because they're not that good. So anyways, that is pretty much going to be it. And obviously the shades of the build, which you are going to get, I forgot to mention Kristaps as well. Kristaps one of my favorite centers in the NBA right now. But yeah, you get a shades of Joel Embiid, Cousins, obviously prime Cousins, and obviously Kristaps Porzingis. The wingspan, not really a big issue for me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think it's fine. As long as your position is fine, you're not going to have too much of an issue with it. But anyways, that is pretty much the build overview. I really like the build. But personally for me, I still prefer playing on my 7 foot. So if you guys see me in the rec, I'll probably still be playing on my 7 foot build, because as much as I love this build, the only thing I would keep though is that 90 mid range. That 90 mid range is definitely a very OP. So if you want to make a build like a center build with a 90 mid range and like a 76 3 ball, you can definitely do that, because that 90 mid range is super OP, bro. Super overpowered, and you don't even need to put post control in it, because you can just, you know, do the dribble pull ups instead. But anyways, I've been ranting up for too long. Hope you guys enjoy the video. You'll let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.